My question is, what is a human being? And I think we have to get that answer right if we want to do things practically well. Even in business, you have to know the human beings that are working in your business. The technical part is easy. I knew a fella years ago. I said, Joe, what's the most difficult thing you have as a manager? He says, people. He says, the electrical engineering is a snap. People, that's the real problem. What makes them tick? How do you put them together? Da 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 da. And so that's the reason that I got involved in developing this program of vision circles. I'm trying to find a concrete and compact way of putting in all the best insights of psychology and philosophy to help people think well. It's for everybody. It's simply a method of thinking with the resources that we have innately. And those two resources are intuition and reflection. I think the word intuition is kind of fuzzy for people. By intuition, I don't mean a passing feeling, a particular emotion. It's not gender specific. Sometimes people say women are more intuitive than men. Well, I don't think Einstein would go along with that. He was very intuitive. Intuition is something that we're all born with. We have an immediate awareness of ourselves. Nothing else in the world has that. And children have it at a very early age, very early. You don't teach a kid to be good. They know about good. They intuitively know good. They intuitively know freedom. Put them in a corner for a half hour. They don't want to be there. Why? Because they know freedom's good. So they have an intuitive awareness of a lot of these ideas, but they're not conceptually clear. They're not worked out in their heads yet. They have to develop those over time. That's what education is supposed to be. Education is supposed to be engaging kids in these kinds of activities so that they learn how to direct their own lives. Humans are simply packages of habits. We develop habits over time, and it's extremely important to, for children when they're young to develop good habits, especially mental habits. It's the mental habits that make people do what they do. So what you really want to try to do is help kids think clearly when they're very, very young. Engage them in dialogue when they're very, very young. You parents should do this. Parents should dialogue with themselves so they're able to dialogue with their children. If they don't know how to dialogue with themselves, it's going to be very difficult to dialogue with your children. And there are a lot of skills that go into dialogue, a lot of assumptions that have to be very, very clear. When you dialogue, you assume there are going to be differences. You don't assume everybody's going to agree. And then how do I handle differences? Do I turn people off because they disagree with me, or do I pay attention? Do I listen well? Those are all habits that I have to develop over time. And then when I get in a difficult situation, whatever my habits have been, that's what's going to show up as I respond to the situation. That's what Vision Circles is all about. How do I get hold of my own life? How do I direct my own life? How do I create my own life? What are the resources for doing that? And the resources are already there. It's not that I don't have to learn a lot. I do. I learn a lot from philosophers I read, from psychologists I read. You learn a lot from mistakes that you make. It's an unending process, an unending process. And in this process, people are going to create their personal creed. They're very clear about what they believe in, why they believe in it, and they're going to act. People are going to act out of what they believe in. I guess the way I can think of it in a simple way, it's like a symphonic orchestra. There are many parts in a symphonic orchestra, and there's one conductor, and somehow or other parts all come together so that you get harmony and you get something beautiful. And I think that's what everybody is aiming for. How do I hold my life together? How do I interact with other people so there's a togetherness? How do we act according to political principles so that we get a togetherness? It's always about a togetherness and the avoiding of the. I think Freud was right. There's a life instinct in us. We want to hold everything together, but there is also a death instinct in us. And that leads to these irrational tendencies that we have. So I have to keep working at it. I have to keep paying attention to the way I'm thinking so that I don't get confused. Confusion is not a bad